My name is Dan Lowe and welcome to Thinking Critically, a D&D discussion. My guest for tonight's show from Dungeons, Dice and Dudes, please welcome Mark Hartop.
Hello.
Thanks for coming on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. So my name's Mark. I am a fairly D&D noob, I guess. Fairly recently started playing D&D, probably longer than I think it is now. But yeah, just have experience with kind of a few one-shots, and then have recently been part of like a longer, big campaign, which has been quite cool. But yeah, just my spare time, just a bit of a walker, hiker, software engineer by trade, and long-time sofa sitter by night.
I can't help but notice you admitted that I'm your DM there, and I'm not sure if I'm flattered or insulted by that, but...
Of course, yeah. Dallo is the runner of that long-term campaign. He's already tried killing.
Yes. I like how you said you're not sure how long it's probably longer than it's been, and I'm pretty sure that's a good sign that it doesn't feel like you've been slogging through it yet, but you are like 5% through, so I guess there is that to consider.
Nice. In terms of playing D&D, because it's only since kind of meeting sort of Nathan and the Dungeons, Dice and Dudes guys that it's been more of my weekly hobbies. So
Excellent. Well, thanks for coming on the show. Tonight's topic is choices. So what does that mean to you in the D&D and wider TTRPG framework?
So choices for me is is kind of my center of the world of D&D, I guess. It kind of consumes me almost in D&D and games like that. Obviously it's spread all the way across D&D, and choices are everywhere basically in the game. So that's kind of going from character creation to then class and feats, and then even into things like role playing and like decisions to be made and choices to be made there. So yeah, for me it's definitely a key part of the game, almost like find it ties into basically any aspect of it, whether it's the mechanics or different bits like that. So yeah, it's a blessing and a curse for me, for sure.
Do you think that was one of your main draws to the game then, that range of choices?
Yeah, for sure, because it's suffer from decision paralysis, but almost as like having like a techie background and like problem solver. Yeah, like that vast choice is kind of quite cool, because I like to get into like the nitty gritty and kind of almost getting into like the real meta gaming of it, almost of just you can do anything, which yeah, like I say, can be great because you can do anything, but also can be a nightmare because you can do anything.
So I too have a now dated background in software development, as in 10 years ago now. And although I know that there are creative elements to it, for sure, it is predominantly a hard skilled discipline, let's say. Whereas I think D&D is very much, and role-playing games in general, are very much a soft skill focused. Yeah, discipline is probably the best word. So do you feel like it's a catharsis for you, a palate cleanser from a day of, why is this unit test failing? Why does X equal Y when it should equal Z in this instance? The hard facts of life. Then you can come back and be like, oh, I can pick what X is now, and I can pick Y is now Z, and that kind of stuff. Do you enjoy that paradigm shift?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely kind of, tends to lead into my kind of more creative side, certainly with like, trying to thinking outside of the box and kind of creating that character in your head and getting a chance to kind of, like you say, social interactions that you probably don't get so much during the day, kind of sat behind a computer.
Yes.
And like just dealing with a computer. But then there is that, it's nice to have that kind of tie in as well of, if I do this, does it do that? And then that's like where it comes back to that like choices of like, obviously I run through so many things in my head in a day of like when you're trying a program, that it kind of then is easy to be like, well, if I do this, then that will happen. And then like, and it's kind of like, oh, I should probably focus on what Daniel's saying right now rather than.
Well, the difference there is that you could run that same, if test 100 times and it would output the same thing, mostly the same thing 100 times. Whereas I'm going to do whatever the hell I want when I'm running that game, and that's going to change moment to moment, character to character.
For sure. Yeah, and even like a dice roll, like you're there like, oh yeah, I'll just roll this damage, it'll be fine. We'll be on to the next one. And then you like roll a 1, and then next thing you know, you're paralyzed and on the edge of death when you thought it was going to be easy riding.
So one of the things you mentioned there about the array of choices, to continue using software engineering terminology, is the character creation side of things. And that's something we can probably spend a decent amount of time talking about because, and I've mentioned it on the show several times before, that it's such a huge part of, it's such a huge commitment to certainly newer players to make that choice from now a bewildering array of possible archetypes and classes. Even when I started, 8 years ago now, it was still a very much like, whoa, okay, there's a lot here to pick from. I'm about to commit to 6 months, a year, 2 years playtime.
Yeah,
this is a huge decision to make. I have very little grasp as to what any of these things really mean within the context of the game. Sorcerer points sounds good. I guess I'll take that. Turns out kind of iffy 99% of the time. Like, how did you feel that, as you said, from a newer player perspective, trying to make that choice?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the hardest things for me, as you'll probably know from me trying to create a character. In the most recent campaign, it was kind of, I think I probably came up with about 6 in my head before really coming to one that was going to work and wanted to go with. But yeah, that, like you say, it's that choice of, oh, I'm going to be with this character for so long.
Yeah,
that it's like you want to make like the right choice, even though it's a completely in the grand scheme of things, it's irrelevant because if you don't like it, there's always ways around it or things you can change later down the line, or that character might die straight away and you've got to create another character anyway. So kind of try not to get too hell bent on those like choices. But then I always find myself in a rock and a hard place of, like you say, when you've got like a wizard or even like a paladin or any sort of spellcaster, you're like, I've got all of these choices. I can like take all these spells, I can do all this stuff. And then sometimes I find myself like, I'm just going to be a fighter. Take away all of that choice and just like, and it's just like so easy just to be like, I'm just going to be Joe Bloggs who has 0 power and is just along for the ride, and let the choices be made for him rather than having all of those like choices to make. Yeah, it's definitely a juggling act for me anyway, trying to finding that tightrope of plenty of choices and none.
Yeah, there is definitely a beauty in the simplicity of those kinds of characters, where it is just like, I know nothing, all I know is I must kill kind of thing. Like, I'm just
100%. Just
point me in the direction I need to go, and I'm gonna go there. Come hell or high water, there's gonna be action and a result at the at the other side.
Yeah, because when you think of like a lot of successful stories or like programs or I guess like anime and things like that, like the main characters that you're so drawn to tend to be like, some of them are fairly complex, but a lot of them are quite simplistic, like Goku from Dragon Ball. He just wants to get stronger and fight the strongest thing that he can find, and that just carries him the whole way, and it's like no more to him. That's what he wants. So sometimes it can be easier, I find, to like go simple and let it kind of build from there rather than trying to build this convoluted web to start with.
Goku's one of the most beloved anime characters of all time, and probably a good part for that reason you just mentioned, is for that precise reason. See, now conversely, despite saying all of that, I do love wizards.
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day that they might well be my favorite character because of the flexibility, or you could put that another way, the number of choices you have moment to moment. I know one of the players in my other campaign, he's playing a monk, and he frequently finds himself, I think, frustrated is fair to say, by the lack of micro choices, the lack of the moment to moment. Well, I guess I'll just hit again, or can I try and run up this wall and then punch him again? Or, daring today, aren't we? I'll try stunning strike. And that's like the 7th time he's used that this combat kind of thing. So
yeah.
Whereas with the wizards, you just inherently have the world at your fingertips. And in the ultimatum of the last campaign of Dungeons, Dice and Dudes, where we were boosted up to like 18 or something, and it was, I was playing like a level 18 wizard. It's just mad with power. You've got Simulacrum, you've got Clone, you've got, what's the other one? Contingency. You like can't die.
Yeah.
And they're also mega powerful. Okay, where do I sign?
Yeah, for sure. That's it. And I find that's also where it's quite hard sometimes on the character side of things. Of like I was saying, like I think too far ahead sometimes. I'm there like looking at higher levels of your character and be like, oh, you could do this, you could do that, and then you kind of come down to it and you're like, oh, that's a little while away. But
yes, you will learn. Do not do that with me, because you will be waiting a long time for any
sure.
of that stuff.
But no, I definitely agree with that, and I think that's why with my like latest character of like being a cleric, where it's that middle ground of kind of just wants to fight stuff, but also has that range of these are some things I can do. So yeah, I definitely feel that with, I think one of my first characters I made was just like a fighter samurai, and it's very much like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try and hit this person. Next round, it's like I can't do anything other than move and hit him again. So it is nice to have that choice in those times because it's not often that, I mean, typically a battle's going to go on for a fair few rounds, so it's not kind of like you're only going to get 3 goes. It is kind of like, okay, we're going to be 6, 7, 8 rounds. It's kind of, how can I make this a little bit more exciting and kind of get a little bit more of that role play and build that up a little bit more with what I'm doing, action to action sort of thing.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why and you guys know, I bring in that level 3 carte blanche. Do you want to re-roll anything?
Yeah.
For that reason, that people find themselves in, hey, I've played this character for 10 or so sessions. I don't like just hitting the same target 10 times over. I want there to be a little bit more. So the reason I'm saying that now is for the listeners and for other DMs out there, is to have that. And it's a piece of cake when it's only 10 sessions in, even for a long form campaign like ours. As long as you have the trust and the agreement of the players, it's very easy to retcon and be like, hey, this person's now a lizard folk mage rather than a gnome barbarian. And as long as everybody's like mature enough to be like, okay, cool, that's what we're going to go with. And that's how it always was, because ultimately the most important thing is the players are having fun at the table. So you can just retcon and it bish bash bosh. And I guess there's nothing to stop you doing that several times throughout the campaign. It does get slightly trickier as the investment increases, but certainly that first initial, are you vibing, yes or no? No, cool, let's fix it, is my rudimentary fix to that problem of, I've made the wrong choice.
Yeah, and that's what's kind of nice as well. If you know that that's the case, it kind of gives you that freedom almost to make a poor decision and make a poor choice of like, I thought this might work, but it really hasn't. But at least I was able to give it a go and kind of take that pressure off of, I'm going to have to live with this character for so long. I wish I never did this.
And I find it's a double-edged sword. So to talk about, obviously, playing one, and I'm more a fan of regular listeners of the show, when I'm not super keen on one-shots or shorter campaigns personally. But obviously there the risk is lower with like a one-shot or a 3-shot or something. You can just go crazy and be like, well, that didn't work, but it was only 3 sessions, so I don't really care. But conversely, you don't get to really get into like the nitty-gritty of the game. You don't get to build it up from the ground up. You don't get to kind of tailor a bit like through the story, have these magical things. You just blop, you just appeared on the world, and you're super crazy powerful, usually magic person that can fight for days or shoot lightning bolts and stuff. And as I said, it's less overhead there for those one shots, but for me personally, the benefit isn't there.
Yeah, I guess because obviously the last campaign with the DD&D guys was kind of like 3 years. I know you obviously do a couple of other bits as well. Have you tailored out, ventured out much from Wizard, or do you tend to, you kind of know, where you've played for so long, you kind of like know what you kind of like, and do you still have that adventuring kind of, let's make a random choice?
I have a dream. In a previous campaign, I was playing a multi-classed barbarian paladin, and I still have a dream to one day play that build again, because it's Zealot Barbarian and Paladin. I can't remember which one it is, but basically the combination of two made you just this like unkillable. You can't break out of raging, and if you're raging, you can't go unconscious, so you can just keep fighting. You got lay on hands, pop lay on hands on yourself. So it's like a DM's worst nightmare, which is ironic coming from a person who predominantly DMs. But that is a dream that I would like to go back to. Only for for me it was a perfect middle ground between 10 levels of barbarian, so it's very easy. Smash, smash, smash. Don't think too much. Most of my spells are out of. I've got like 4 spells because I'm a level 3 paladin, all out of combat, all concentration. Don't care about them. But then also that building of the character to be that unkillable machine was this. It was like the perfect middle ground between not having to do too much, but also getting quite a lot of flexibility and customization into it. So that I one day will hopefully have another chance at doing. And then in the other game that I'm playing like a homebrew race, but with a ranger. I think we're level 12, 13 now. And even with Swarmkeeper subclass, which I think is from Xanathar's. And it's the fixed ranger. Even still, I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I can shoot 2 non-magical arrows. Cool. Yeah, I can climb pretty well, but so can monks. So great. It's goofy because you're like surrounded by a swarm of intangible creatures half the time. So it's a weird stretch. And the creatures I've picked are abyssal chickens, which are a stat block, and they are what you'd imagine like hell chickens, skinless, eyeless monstrosities. And they obviously have rules baked into the class. Add 1d6 to your attacks, make an enemy go prone. They can like carry you and fly for 10 minutes at a 10 foot per round, 6-second speed. But then that leads to lots of awkward occasions when other players are like, "Oh, can you use your chickens to go over there and get that thing?" And I'm a purist and I'm dedicated to the core, the framework has to hold true. Otherwise, anything goes. I'm like, no. And they're like, well, they just pecked that guy to death over there. Why can't they go and pick up that key? And I'm like, because rules, I suppose.
Yeah. No, that sounds. Yeah, it's that. I understand that though. You want to kind of stick to those rules because otherwise it can just go a bit AWOL, and it kind of It's nice having that freedom, but then that structure kind of keeps it sane and consistent almost across.
Yeah, well, that's a great example of the. Can I try this? And then the DM being in a very tricky position to be like, no, but you can do this, or no, but what are you trying to achieve? And let's work together. And that's a classic example of it, because in that case, like, can you go and get the keys? The wizard who's prepped Mage Hand this entire time and has been like gagging for a time to use Mage Hand, and you go to the ranger. Like, no, let me Mage Hand the keys from across the chasm. Like, that's my job. And now you've just given it to the ranger who's done it for free, and it hasn't cost them anything. And those are the situations I am desperate to try and avoid, and are very tricky to do as a DM, is to avoid. And that comes down to DM choices, which I'll probably get into it a little bit later on. But it's those things that also help to be cognizant of as a player, is to be like, well, I could think about doing that, but I probably won't bring it up because Mr. Wizard over there wants to use Mage Hand, or whatever it may be. Can your chickens break down that door? No, but I bet my barbarian friend can. Do you want to maybe ask them?
For sure. Yeah, that kind of comes on to like the choices, I guess, of in combat and like what to choose, or like in like those role play sessions. It's like recently, was it in our latest encounter with a lot of bad guys? It was that I'm like a Twilight cleric, so have the
sorry, I've just had a groan from the audience there. So at the mention of Twilight cleric, yeah.
So I should shit. Just try not to abuse it too much, and which almost got the whole party killed. So learn that choice is use it when you think you should.
I've created a monster. Oh no, what was it?
But yeah, it was that kind of choice of because you can only use it once per long rest, and it's like choosing that right time to use it, and then like being halfway into combat and be like, I could still use it now, but is it going to be worth it? It's kind of, yeah, those are the sort of decisions that kind of struggle with sometimes. And I think in the last campaign, when I joined as like a guest, and my Bugsy, he escaped at one point, but it was like, chose to stay in the fray, and turned out very badly for him. When it was like, and it's so easy to look back in hindsight, is kind of, what choice could I have done, or could I have made to potentially my character still be alive and the rest of the party still be alive as well. So you just got to go with it.
Those decisions, those choices are, I think, the most engaging and the most interesting. And it reminds me of, everyone knows the meme of, you get to the final boss of Final Fantasy and you've got 99 Phoenix Downs, 99 potions, 99 max potions, 99, rare candies or whatever it is, because you've never used them as a player. You've always hoarded them. And that isn't great design, in my opinion, because you should really be using that stuff. Otherwise, it doesn't add any value to the game.
Yeah.
It's just been noise while you've been playing the game to have these numbers increment that you never will use, never need to use, never want to use, because there's always that next bigger fight. When it's something like, I have one and I might not get to use it again, is now the right time, while it's torture for things that are a one use kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is, I think, the interesting choices that players get to make, and classes like cleric have that quite often. Fewer spell slots, fewer uses of class defining features like channel divinity and stuff, is that interesting decision of, is now the right time? Because for a barbarian, it's always the right time to rage. That decision quickly becomes yes.
Yeah.
It is time to rage in any combat, in any phase, 99 times out of 100. So I think, they are interesting decisions, and I think it's fair to say you can expect probably plenty more opportunities to be caught in that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That frustrating time.
And I guess that's where I'd say, like, at the beginning, it was kind of like, like choices was almost like the core to D&D for me, because it's kind of, every choice you do make then impacts what does happen, and whether it's choosing to do nothing or choosing to do it. But then, like I say, that's what, like you were saying, it's one of the good things about D&D is that it then does lead you into those situations that you might not have been in had you used it or not. Where you didn't use it, then a character's like injured, and then it's like takes you off on a whole other tangent of like, how are you going to heal this person, rather than it's like you used it, everybody's fine, and then you're kind of just on to the next thing. Does definitely tend to lend to storytelling, I guess, in quite a good way.
And choosing to do nothing, as you put it there, is huge. It was like an offhand comment, but it's such a huge part of D&D for me, and it's like that bystander effect and that kind of stuff is just massive. So to use a very poor equivalence again in video games, if you don't choose to do a side quest, typically fuck all happens, and you can do it in 10 years time. You boot up your bloody Game Boy Advance and you can still go and play Pokemon Yellow and finish off there, and nothing's changed at all. Whereas in D&D, like, not choosing to do a side, I think I think one of the games recently, is it Baldur's Gate, I think, or Dragon's Dogma, I think, has implemented something similar, that if you do sit on a side quest for ages, or you speak to a person, they're like, hey, clean out the rats in my basement, and you don't do it, they will pay you less when you return, and eventually like, let me go and clean that up, or they'll be like, no, you're not needed anymore. But it's like 2024. We've had video games for like like over half a century now at this point, and like only now are we getting to that point where that stuff you can be doing with a lot more finesse and nuance in TTRPGs, of that choice of to do nothing, which is still absolutely very much a choice, is like massive. It's huge. Like, do I heal or do I not heal? Or do I take a health potion for myself, or just leave that NPC dying on the ground? Or do we listen to this person, or do we just ignore them and move on? Is huge. And what I think probably the pull that a lot of people have is the ability to say no.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, I just struggle with the FOMO of like, should we have done that? Or like the amount of times like when we finish the session and then it would just be there like, did we miss anything? Like, is there anything that you were like expecting us to do and just completely walked past it, sort of thing? So it's always that worry of like, should we do this? I wish I'd gone there. Like, and then chances are it probably would have been nothing. And it's like, it's an empty
Mhm.
box, but you're like, we
Yeah.
have to look in that box. There's going to be like the most fantastic rare item ever. And then, yeah, it's easy to get caught in that trap, I guess.
The answer to that question is always yes. And also, you made me invent a whole new bunch of stuff that I hadn't planned for anyway. So it's
Yeah.
like six of one and half a dozen of the other. Yeah, you probably missed a bunch of stuff, but I had to generate a whole bunch of more new stuff that I wasn't thinking about. So it kind of works itself out in the end. And
Yeah.
the trick is making sure the players can't tell the difference.
Nice. Definitely can't. Definitely can't. So.
So probably a good time to we can talk briefly now about the choices a DM has to make versus a player. So first question is then, have you ever been in the hot seat?
No, no, never been in the hot seat. I was actually thinking about this today before our things. I was like, I find it hard as a player making choices, and then I was like, the thought of DMing is just like, wow, the choices go like through the roof. So, so no, never have been in the hot seat.
Do you want to?
Part of me does, but then other parts of me just, yeah, just scares the life out of me of like trying to choose something, and yeah, kind of trying to make a world. It's easy just to kind of go off the rails, I guess. Similar to like I was saying before of like trying to keep it simple is probably the best idea.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is intriguing, and it'd be like quite cool to be behind the board. But yeah, when I like see like yourself and like Nathan, I'm just like, I'd say role playing is probably one of the bits I'd like struggle with the most.
Mm-hmm.
So to try and like carry that as a DM, I'm like, I don't envy you guys at all sometimes.
Yeah, the toughest thing for me is, and we've had it before where there's been 3 or 4 NPCs. That shit is killer. That stuff drains me, having to swap between and keep thoughts and feelings and the scope of knowledge, what characters know, separate while responding dynamically. That exhausts me. That is
Yeah.
at the end of the session, I'm like, I need to sleep because my mind is going a billion miles per hour now. And that is tricky. What isn't tricky now for me, having done it for so many combined hours, God knows how many, my slash play time is as a DM is, thousands probably.
Yeah.
Is just responding to the players. So I wanted to say that the choices that players get and their player characters are often more direct, as we said before. A question is posed, a setup is set up. Do you save X or do you save Y? Do you want to do this or do you want to do that? It might be dressed up in an NPC being silly with a stupid name like Fizzlebum Tinkercum. It might be as plain as a passive quest board on the wall that the players pass by, but they've made that choice or they haven't had the opportunity to make that choice. Whatever it may be, it is not binary, but proposed to the player 99 times out of 100. As a DM, the choices you have to make are all because of what the other characters have done, what the players have proposed to you. So to give you an example of something that I alluded to earlier on about making stuff up, in a couple of sessions ago in the Dungeons, Dice and Dudes campaign, and for those listeners who aren't familiar, link in the description, check us out to see me putting some of this stuff in practice. Hey, why don't you point out whether you can see me in the seams between what's planned and what's not? Spoilers, my plan is a lot smaller than you're probably expecting it to be. Slevin wants to steal like a magic box from the basement of the school, right? All of that was completely improvised on the spot. I hadn't really planned for any other items down there. I didn't have a layout plan. I didn't have anything else. It was just, this is a magic school owned by somebody who's a very powerful spellcaster. So my choice was there, like as a DM, and this is why I do it, because this is the fun stuff for me. Is, do I let them get away with it? Do I not punish them, but should there be repercussions? Where's the middle ground? You don't want to penalize for creativity, but you also don't want to be like, hey, you could just do whatever you want in a cause and effect doesn't exist in this world, and you can just do whatever
Yeah.
you can get away with anything. And making that decision is what pulls me to being a DM. That moment to moment, okay, I now need to think of something that's appropriate, fun, and means that the players are laughing or feel like they're having an impact in the world.
Yeah.
So my thought process there was the magical storage of old arcane artifacts. Probably don't know. I don't know what's in there.
Mhm.
Players don't, so it doesn't matter. This is probably special. The Olvara, the NPC who owns this place, probably would have put some traps in place.
Mhm.
Classic. When it crosses a threshold, you want to make it obvious that it's the classic. You walk out the store and the ink tag explodes on the clothes that you're trying
Yeah,
to steal.
for sure.
It's the you got me.
Literally caught red-handed sort of thing.
Yeah, precisely. So that was all improvised, as I said, but it's those choices as a DM that I'm get. That's what keeps me going. That yeah, I guess you can do that. Give me half a second to quickly calculate the repercussions of 10,000 different choices, like Minority Report style. Let me see the tree of how this is going to impact the world. Right, that's the safest choice to make here. Let's go with that.
Yeah. No, that's like I say, like something that's not even like crossed my mind to having only been on like the player side of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess you just see it as like not all. Obviously, I understand that it's not all planned out. But you're like, you definitely thought one of us was going to try and steal something, and like probably like had that in your back pocket, sort of thing. Because again, my FOMO goes straight to like, I bet there was something really cool down there that we could have like, if we'd have just spent a little bit longer, like we could have got something cool. Which obviously, yeah. Now hearing you say that, it's like, oh no, it was nothing. It was just scene setting almost. But
Well, it's everything is like Schrodinger's unknown. It's like there
yes,
was absolutely untold riches and magical artifacts for all you level 3 characters,
yeah,
and also nothing. It was just exposition vehicle to give you guys the the prop that I'd written. Like, and it's both, and you'll never know, and that's why it's fun. It's
yeah,
my
no,
secret,
definitely.
my special secret. So yeah, as I was saying, so that's the choices that DMs make, and it's good to speak to a newer player to witness that, not realization, but that like it's just that completely different experience, and often the two experiences can kind of merge, and then the barriers between them blur, which is a good thing. Absolutely, everyone's a player at the table, the DM included, and their fun is just as important as the players.
Mhm.
Usual caveats, obviously, but I think it's still very important to see that those choices are different, and that's why some people are drawn more ways than the other.
Yeah.
So I don't mind effectively having zero agency in the world, which seems weird for me to
Mhm.
say. So like the game is essentially paused when we're not playing or when you guys are talking. So
Yeah.
when the players are talking, it's when you're talking for 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, hey, I've got literally nothing to do right now, which is
Mhm.
fine because I could deal with a break. So,
Yeah.
but I'm kind of not actively playing at that point,
Mhm.
which is great to have that break. Whereas players always have, ideally, the agency to no, we're going to go left rather than right, or do you know what, we
Yes.
won't do this. We will do that, and we will murder that man on the street. And yes, I could summon bandits to come and jump at you, but it isn't quite for my style at least. It can't be that flippant. It can't be that. Do you know what? Let's sneak out a little box of magic, sort of spur of the moment kind of thing, because that's unfair to the
Mhm.
players. So it's. I hope I'm not just like big-headedly rambling now about my my experience as a DM, but with everything I've said and your experience as a player, I suppose, have I done anything to either increase your likelihood of running a game, or have I scared you away even further?
No, not at all. I think I would want to run a game for sure. I think probably like a one shot or something like that would
Hmm.
be ideal, because I do see the choices that you would make as a DM, how that could like impact you as a player as well, and like
Mm.
almost make the game better for everybody at the table. For example, with like Nathan now being a player rather than a DM, there's sometimes when he'll have that like agency, like you say, of like me and Matt being like, newer players will just stand here and talk
Mm,
and do like nothing. It's almost as a thing, and then like it's quite good to have that extra like experience and like flip side of things
mm.
to then be able to like not know what's going on, but have that mindset of okay, what's the DM probably thinking, and or like
You got it.
yeah,
You got the key. That what the DM is probably thinking is a huge thing. I've mentioned it till I'm blue in the face on the show. Is
Mhm.
like a massive one of the benefits, huge benefits of having players who are also DMs is
Yeah,
that Danlo's trying to get across this vibe or trying to communicate X or wants us to think about this in a certain way. It's
Mhm.
this weird kind of voice in the back of your head that says, I know what Nathan's trying to do. You know, I know
Yeah.
what Danlo's trying. I know what the DM's trying to do. Let me help them out by not saying anything. And that in itself, as is a choice as a player rather than their character, is absolutely. I'm rambling because I'm very happy that you mentioned that because that's like I'm happy. We've got a fantastic player, another fantastic player at the table.
And like I do find myself sometimes I'm just like, what are we meant to be doing? And then that's like sometimes the choices where I'm like, that's where I like struggle sometimes of just like, what should I be doing? Or who should I be interacting with? Or what should I be like investigating or perceiving? So yeah,
Mm,
sometimes I feel like, oh, maybe it could be quite good to try and like run a little game, get a bit of different perspective on things, and then but I guess that's also just something that comes with time and hours of
mhm,
playing and kind of knowing how the world works a little bit more
mm,
to get that kind of experience and probably just make those choices a little bit easier
mm,
and just yeah kind of letting it go, I guess, of just not worry but just go with it and see kind of what happens and just lean into that, just choose something, just go
mhm.
for
Yes,
it.
yeah. You mentioned it earlier on that analysis paralysis, and that happens a lot. And thankfully, because I'm a player in another game with a completely removed set of people in a completely different DM,
Mhm.
and it still happens in that game. Because otherwise, I'd be worried that I'm the common denominator and it's my games that I run that causes them to have that. But no, I do have another sample that says no, it isn't just me. And maybe that is a failing. I say maybe. It definitely is partly a failing of the DM there in terms
Mm.
of maybe I haven't provided enough context. Maybe I haven't foreshadowed enough. Maybe I haven't been as obvious enough with the quest markers, let's say.
Yeah.
But that, well, should we do this? Well, what if we do this? The amount of times that I've done that as a player, my players have gone around in loops for hours, and sometimes it killed me. It killed me in my other game. I don't want to say too much because it might be something that you guys end up
Of
coming to.
course, yeah.
But there was an NPC they were going to visit who was probably not benign. Or
Mhm.
their intents were unknown. Their intentions were unknown, probably
Mhm.
ill. And the players spent ages being like, shall we try this trick? Or shall you disguise as this? And shall we all wear a long trench coat and stand on each other's shoulders? Or what if we pretend to be this? Or what if we all feign death? And this, that, and the other. And it killed me the entire time because the NPC was listening in. And I was like, oh God, the players' time's being wasted, all their characters' times are being wasted. And in that
Yeah.
instance, it's actually quite a perfect marriage of player and character. I was like, they're all idiots in this instance, which is hilarious. Um, but I was like, this is all like all these choices, this
Yeah.
multitude of choices these guys are putting in front of each other and in front of themselves
Mhm.
was a great payoff when they met the NPC who was like, "Oh, I particularly like the one where you wanted to assassinate me in my sleep. That was great. A nice bit of spice on that one." And I'm like, "Oh, we did waste all that time just
Yeah.
for like literally an hour putting together the most like fanciful, flighty plans.
Mhm.
Rube Goldberg machine level of plans to try and set up a sequence of events when they
Yeah.
could have just walked straight in and it would have been the exact same outcome. That killed me. I enjoyed it, but that did kill me to be like, yeah, you just overthought this to the nth degree.
Mhm.
Worse,
Yeah.
all irrelevant.
Yeah. No, I do. I'm quite like insular, I guess. Of like, I just
Mm,
stick in my own head of like, what could I choose to do and things like that, and then forget that there is like three other people around the table and could probably you think of something and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do this, and then somebody else says something, you're like, nope, not going to do that anymore. But I do find when we do stream our games as well, sometimes it's hard to almost have those long times of trying to make choices because you're kind of don't know whether to bring something up or end up going off on a tangent because you're kind of there like, oh, you have an audience and you don't want to waste, like you say, like 45 minutes of like coming up with a plan. But then also on the flip side, that could lend itself to some funny moments and things like that. So it's always a balancing act of trying to come up with choices and actually choosing something at the same time.
It's a cliche of the game that people spend an hour making a plan for it all to fall over on the first dice roll. So like, don't let that ever stop anyone.
That's it. You kind of It's funny. It's well, in our show, obviously, Dungeons, Dice, and Dudes. The name, the kind of clue is in the title. That it's the dice that kind of make the choices for you at the end of the day. Really.
Yeah, there's two interesting things then that I wanted to loop back around on. We'll get to the dice one in a second. If I forget, please remind me. I wanted to talk briefly, because you touched upon it, the difference in choices between the players and their characters. And we've danced around it in the last 45 minutes or so. But I wanted to get your perspective again as a newer player, that thought process of, we've talked about it before, my guy, it's a bit of an older cliche now, but the my guy syndrome and how do you kind of make a choice that's going to have agency, that's going to have impact on the world, harkening back to what I was talking about, the differences between DM and players, but constrained within the scope of what my character knows and what my character's feeling. Like, that is the core essence of a player and a player character that's applicable to combat. That's all three pillars, really: combat, exploration, and then the social side of things. How have you approached that challenge? How have you approached thinking about those choices that Otto has versus the ones that Mark has? How do you kind of bridge that gap and be like, I would choose X, but Otto would choose Y? And that makes me feel weird. It makes me, Danilo, feel weird when I have to make those decisions as a player. So how do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's funny that you bring that up because that's something that I've ruminated in my own head sometimes about after a session when I'm like thinking back of like how it's gone and what we've done. Yeah, that's something that does kind of, it's popped up in my mind, but I've not really like sat on it and kind of really dug into it kind of thing. But yeah, I definitely find myself caught in that trap of just me playing almost, and like even though I have this character and have the voice and things, it's so easy to then trying to keep that split between, oh, my character actually wouldn't do what I would do. They are potentially like a bit of a knob or like and would be a bit more brazen. And so because it's, I guess, I don't know how I've dealt with it really, but I definitely struggle with it.
I feel like I've set you up to fail here now. It's one of those things where don't start navel gazing, because you're going to open up a Pandora's box and be like, oh God, what am I doing? How do I, what's happening next? We're going to play tomorrow night and you're going to be like, I can't say or do anything.
My name is Otto.
Yes. I've already said too much. I've made this a horrible mistake.
I think that's where one thing that I said earlier when I kind of like struggle with the role play a little bit is that trying to embody that character. And it's definitely something that I can definitely appreciate in watching people like yourself and Nathan when you do play like those NPCs, and it's just like, oh yeah, this person is doing exactly what this type of person would do, which I guess is, I've tried to make life a little bit easier for myself, I guess, with Otto, in the sense of he is just a bit of a geezer, and growing up in Southampton, you see those kind of people everywhere, so you can kind of lean on that. And I think the reason I did go with that choice in the end is like whenever me and a friend of mine are like on the phone and we're just kind of like joking around, it'd always be like, oh, all right, mate, all right, Michelle, fucking like, and you just kind of default that as a joke, and you can kind of, I guess, let your inhibitions go a little bit, because you're kind of like, well, it's not me, it's that stereotypical douchebag that you will see at the train at 11 p.m. like talking way too loudly. So
I've been that man. So hey, that's me.
I did see. I saw, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I saw a hilarious video online of this person that they did that like stitch where it's like their face in the corner and it's like somebody else's video and it's that person being like, oh yeah, we're from Britain. We're like quite quiet people. We're very calm. Like you just we do our own thing. We like keep ourselves to ourselves. And then it cut to her. Where it's just like the background's a train, and in the background, what you can just hear is these like lads just going, "We all live in a yellow submarine." It's just like, yeah, that's with the Brits are definitely not calm. And
Yes.
so yeah, I guess to come back to it, yeah, it's just those leaning into almost like stereotypes, probably to try and easily think about, oh, what would my character do rather than me. On another little meta side of things of that as well, obviously being on the production side of Dungeons, Dice and Dudes, sometimes it's quite easy trying to have like my map as my character, but then the stream map that obviously you can see a lot more than me. It's
Yeah,
kind of like
you've got a big overhead as a new player for sure.
it's just like, yeah, there's definitely not something over there. So yeah, it's I don't find it too bad with like the information side of things because it's just try and play dumb to it almost. But yeah, and those like decision makings, it's kind of I definitely find myself like creeping in because I'm quite a laid back person. I'm just like, we don't need to do that, and then it's like, oh no, maybe my character would actually be like, why are you doing that sort of thing?
It's definitely a good, and it happens. Everybody starts either their first or second character is an exaggeration of a certain personality trait. Everybody just kind of default. It's absolutely the right thing to do, absolutely safe, absolutely helps with role play, and it's great because you get to lean into that side of your personality a little bit more. What the pesky society doesn't want you to be, a big dickhead, unsurprisingly. So you can be in D&D.
Yeah,
but and don't get me wrong, being a DM, NPCs are so much easier to role play, making choices than player characters, because often they are two-dimensional. Like you spin up a shopkeeper, they might have a backstory. They might be, we can't, I can't give you a discount because I'm struggling to feed my family. Okay, cool. Still pretty two-dimensional. Still pretty obvious what their choices are going to be when it comes down to the blow by blow. It's not very difficult to be like, oh God, would he do this or would he do that? No, he'd probably tell the characters to fuck off because I'm not going to offer you a 50% discount because I also have mouths to feed. So that is actually very easy from a DM's perspective. So
no, that makes sense.
Even though you might be running several NPCs at once, obviously you have your bigger characters, you have your bigger NPCs that are more nuanced, that are more three-dimensional, that have bonds, ideals, flaws, and all that kind of stuff. But for your stranger you pass on the street, or the characters they ask for directions, 9 times out of 10, have you heard about any bandits or whatever? That stuff is quite easy moment to moment to role play. So just to set expectations, like that is not the overhead. the choices are quite easy there for DMs.
That's fair.
But the other thing I want to talk about before we start to wrap up in a few moments is, and we mentioned it before, is the dice. As you said, said the dice make decisions, make your choices for you.
Yes.
Which is great, but also sounds really bad when I say it out loud. It's like, oh, I don't want to play that game where I don't make any choices because the dice make the choices for me. That thing that I've just described, how is that one of the most popular TTRPGs? Or the hobbies, it's not just D&D, it's all TTRPGs and other board games and stuff. Like, isn't that interesting how, I mean, I'm being a bit hypocritical here because I hate chance and all my hobbies that involve dice. I do my hardest to get rid of that random element.
Roll,
That's why I was like, when with my wizard, I was like, I don't want to roll anything. All saving throws, all 3 of my primary cantrips were you make saving throws against my ludicrously high DC, and then I didn't feel bad if it failed. Take that out of the situation. When I play Warhammer, my main army is Sisters of Battle. Their main mechanic is you can just substitute a dice roll for one that you've pre-prepared over here. You need a 6. Oh, look at the pool I have of 6. I can just use one of those rather than having to roll. It's perfect. It's me up and down all over. So saying that, like, I'm into this game that inherently the chance takes away but modifies your choices is a bit rich, considering I go out of my way to stop that from happening. But from yourself, obviously, how do you feel about that? And have you felt ever, I guess, hamstrung is probably one of the extremes of, oh, okay, I was going to do X, but now I can't, or I had 3 options, but I rolled low, so now I only have 2. Have you ever felt you've been shortchanged at all, or that's impacted the way you play?
Probably not. No, I mean it's definitely something that I forget about, and then it's
Okay.
like, oh yeah, I have to roll sort of thing, like because it's kind of through this. It's I make a plan in my head, and then it's like, oh, you're the overseer of my decision of like, no, 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 this isn't going to happen. I do like it though. I do like the element that the dice bring for sure. It's the best, not the best way, but it's fun how it can just turn a game on its head or like
Mm.
send the story in a direction that you didn't think it was going to go. Or I think I should probably rely on them more. And even though I am very much like you, I would like love to not have to, because it's like I want to make my plan and I want to know that it's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
But it is kind of nice, like creating a character and things, how you can like use them to maybe help influence your decision. Because I guess something that I was thinking about with choices was I quite enjoy it when the choice is almost made for me.
Mm-hmm.
I find that easier then to like riff off of, or say like I almost find it easier to improvise off of
Okay.
that like initial
Yes.
decision rather than making the initial decision sort of thing. So say I guess a very basic example is it's like, oh, there's a character over there. Do we sneak? Do we attack it? Do we try and like incapacitate it? And then it's like, oh, they've attacked you. So it's like, sweet. Right, now this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna
Yeah.
and it's like nice to have that decision taken away from me almost. So I guess that's kind of something that's quite nice about the dice, is that they make that decision for you and now you've just got to roll with the punches almost.
Mm-hmm. I love that you've turned that on its head. I came to that as very much like the dice rob your agency, the evil bastards. But you've quite rightly converted that to no, they are almost a prompt. That role is actually not a inhibitor. It's a prompt for more. It's it opens up the doors to be like, okay, yes, you can't do X, but now you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, G instead.
Yeah.
I had never thought of it like that at all. It's such a great way to be like, no. I've okay, now that one choice is made for me. What do I do now with that new information that I didn't have before? That's
Yes.
my springboard for the next set of challenges, the next set of choices. I had not thought about it at all in that way.
I think actually a prime example of that that's just sprung to mind is like when like my character Otto was first like introduced to the rest of the like team. Obviously, I was in like a building and they were outside and they were just talking shit. And I was
Literally,
like,
kind of.
literally, yeah, piss and shit.
Yep.
And in my head, I was just like, because you were kind of like, over to you, like, what do you do, sort of thing. And it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to come down these stairs and I don't really know how I'm going to play this, like trying to get into the mindset of like the character and like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
how would they do it? Because it was like a dilapidated like stair set.
Yes.
It was kind of like, I'm going to go down the stairs and you're like, roll for me. So then it was like that decision and then ended up not failing it, but falling through the stairs and taking that complete element away from me of like, how am I going to introduce myself to then it's like, oh, attention's been drawn to you now, go sort of thing. And that just made it so much easier to then just be like, oh, just gonna roll with this like loudness and go with it sort of thing. It was nice, just it's not a lot of information, but enough of a like a spark just to be like, okay, now I can riff. I can go from that rather than like picking it out of nothing sort of thing.
That's great to hear, because often as a DM, it hurts me when you rolled for stealth, because I think you were like, I want to go and creep downstairs and look out the door and get a look at the guys, which is a completely sensible and in-universe thing to do, like, absolutely the correct thing to do. So I got you to roll stealth, and it was super, probably even a 1, knowing how crazy our rolls are in D&D. And yeah, you fell through and I was like, how, again, it harkens back to what I was saying before, like what is kind of fair, but also still a repercussion of the failure of this action. And that seemed to me at the time like a good middle ground, but it's always in the back of my head, always a compromise. Like, oh man, that's bad, because it's the first thing you want to do and you wanted to be stealthy, and I'm like completely taking it away. Was that too harsh? Was it like, pratfalling the character on their first introduction? And there's always those negative thoughts around your head. So it's really nice to hear that often it will actually help. It will be that spark, as you put it. It will be that springboard to be like, actually, no, I've now got a frame to work within, a context to work within that makes my life easier in making the next couple of choices. So that's, again, another revelation for me there, that it can help even when you feel like you're doing a bad thing as a DM. You are, in fact, actually doing a good thing.
yeah. And in hindsight, I guess, thinking about it now, maybe D&D just is the illusion of choice, when actually, like, in hindsight, my character does have a disadvantage on stealth. So, like, it was silly of him to try and stealth, and actually, that was probably the most fitting introduction for a character like that, trying to kind of, do you know what I mean? I was like, I tried to make a choice of stealthiness, but the mechanics of the game were like, no, you have disadvantage. You do not get to stealth.
That brings us on to an interesting topic about how the choices, your stats and stuff might define what choices you make. However, we'll probably have to save that for another episode, and we'll just leave that little bait dangling tantalizingly for the listeners. Instead, is there anything that you wanted to talk about choices that we might not have hit yet or that we didn't get to?
Should have prepared something earlier. But we've managed to cover quite a lot of like the things. I was like trying to keep little bits in my head back. Oh, the one thing I guess is quite a choice that everybody has to do, I guess, through D&D is that kind of choice of taking a feat or taking an ASI. So yeah, so I think I'm in the minority here. I love a feat. I love the feats are great. I know the mathematical choice says take the ASI, but
yes, absolutely. Download's choice says make chance less random.
But then it kind of ties in quite nicely, I guess, to that thing of like we were saying with how you like to be a wizard, because it gives you so many like choices in battle and like never having to do the same thing. Like when I look through the feats, I'm like, this is great. Why would I not want to give my character like those other choices of, say, like mobile? It's like, no attack opportunity. I can actually hit this guy and hit that guy. I don't have to think about that. Like, am I going to get hit on the way out? So yeah, I guess it's kind of a tough choice through playing, I guess, which definitely on a longer campaign obviously is a bigger choice than in like a one shot. Have you ever been tempted by feats at all, or?
I think because my Warlock player in my other game has Warcaster, which is advantage on concentration checks, and that ties in with some other character he's built. That is attractive to me because concentration spells suck when you lose concentration. It's awful, and especially if you're a wizard, con isn't usually super high. So out of all of them, Warcaster as a caster is my go-to book for that very reason, because it makes you less likely to fail. So thank you very much, and is quite often applicable. But saying that, that one time you don't take mobile, that one opportunity attack is going to be the one that knocks you down.
For sure. It's like, what's that strength doing for you now? Like,
yeah, you're not strong when you're on the floor.
No.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for today's discussion on choices. Thank you for making the choice, you might say, to come on to the show.
Ironically, making the choice of the topic was also really hard.
We have to go deeper.
So that's why I was just like, choice, that's it. It's already made for me.
It's done. Why don't you tell us what you're up to, what you do for DD&D, where people can find you, and bits and bobs? Why don't you educate us all?
Yeah, sure. So obviously every other week we have DD&D, so Dungeons, Dice and Dudes. Find us on there, twitch.tv/DD&D pod, I think it is. One of those acronyms that you can find us on. So that's every Wednesday we go live and do that. I'm not that social media inclined. So yeah, that's where you'll probably find me. If not, like I said at the beginning, on my sofa, sat in this my R-shaped seat right here.
you remain ever modest, because obviously full DD&D, DDD, as you've said, you do the production. and it is no mean feat. So I would encourage everybody to go and check us out. Everything will be in the episode description below to see some of Mark's wonderful effort on the artwork and the behind the scenes stuff that we would not be doing it without your careful touches, let's say, throughout. So no, it's great, and you can kind of see me put some of these things in action. If you actually want to see me DM for a change, go and check us out at Dungeons, Dice and Dudes. All that's left for me to say is, once again, thank you ever so much for joining us on the show today, Mark.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. It's been great.
Good. Thank you, everyone, for listening at home. As usual, check me out on Think Crit D&D or thinkingcritically.co.uk to check out our back catalogue. And of course, all the other players of Dungeons, Dice and Dudes are out there now as well. So thank you, everyone, for listening, and good night.